An Italian newspaper recently carried a story, a true story, of a young couple who seemed particularly devoted in their worship. A priest at the cathedral reported that this pair would spend an hour or more on a regular basis sitting before the statue of the Virgin Mary. Now, naturally, the priest assumed that they must be very pious. They must be praying. Well, it turned out that this young couple were recharging their cell phone. They had noticed a stray electrical cable sticking out from behind the wall, behind the statue of the Virgin Mary. So whenever their phone's power supply dwindled, the young couple came to the church and recharged it for a while staring at the Virgin Mary. Listening to that particular story, we would have grounds to stand in judgment of this couple for using the church for their own self-interest, in this case, saving money by using the church's electrical supply. And I would agree that this couple acted out of a sense of self-indulgence, entitlement, and were downright sneaky. What seemed like a pious act was actually something altogether different. We're often shocked to read similar stories until we begin to look inside ourselves and realize that we are often guilty of the same thing. How many times do our acts of piety become something far from reverent and holy, where it looks like we're praying, but our thoughts are a million miles away? Where we stand and sing praises, but our voices drone boredom. Where we are present at worship, but our hearts, minds, and spirits are really absent. And where we thank God from whom all blessings flow and offer the same pittance of our worldly treasures. The season of Lent is a call to examine our motives. It is fairly simple to examine the motives of the young couple charging their cell phone behind the statue of the Virgin Mary. But it is far more difficult to look inward and examine our own motives. And this, my friends, is the blessing of Lent. This is the blessing of this 46 days, to examine our motives. Because the tendency, even in a spiritual realm, is to ask, what's in it for me? How will I benefit from whatever it is I do? Few would argue that we as human beings are very self-centered. And we do know that this begins at a very early age. In my study this week, I came across the Toddler's Rules for Ownership. May I share them? Here they are. See if it resonates at any level. If I like it, it's mine. If it's in my hands, it's mine. If I can take it from you, it's mine. If I had it a little while ago, it's mine. If I'm doing or building something, all the pieces are mine. If it just looks like mine, it's mine. If I even think it's mine, it's mine. As our world becomes more complex, more insecure, more threatening, the tendency is to turn inward and see every aspect of our lives as a necessary return on investment. where fear perceives life as the quest for self-preservation and looking out for our own self-interest. And all of this can spill into our worship, our piety, and reverence. We'll pray and ask, Lord God, do you see me praying? When will my prayers be answered? Lord God, I'm attending worship. When will I ever feel better? Lord God, did you see what I put in the offering plate? When will I be rewarded? Jesus points out in the 6th chapter of Matthew that we can do all the right things for all the wrong reasons. It really depends on our center. Is our intent centered on ourselves or on God? Before us through the days of Lent is the passion of Jesus Christ. And the question we must ask is this: where will our focus be directed? Will it be directed toward our wants, our needs, and our desires, or will it be directed toward the cross? We have an opportunity, a glorious opportunity tonight, in this moment to ask, how can I make my life a living sacrifice for God's love? May that be our prayer this Lenten season as we stand and sing hymn number 269, also on our worship screens, entitled Lord, who throughout these 40 days.